Welcome to another episode of CHILIpulse, the place to deep dive into actionable insights on all things CHILI GraFx. I am Bram, and today we're talking about user experience. Joining me today is Darvin. Hi, Darvin. Darvin, it's great to have you on the podcast. Maybe to position yourself, you are responsible for user experience in the company.
Yeah.
That entitles a lot more than just what the eye can see, but that's actually what we're going to dive into. So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Bram. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here and share a little bit more about our thought process about the user experience behind the platform.
Yeah. And to start off, I think it's about 5 years you work at the company, and also around that time we had the opportunity to start from scratch, as in technically, of course, the experience, but we started to make CHILI GraFx. I guess that was a big opportunity and a chance for you to take.
Indeed, it was an exciting opportunity to start from scratch. It really gave us the chance to rethink all our core features from nothing. And in the end, the ultimate goal was how can we speed up the template creation process even further? And all of that by creating a familiar interface. When you come into Graphics Studio, it should really feel like something you already know. Many of our users already spend so much time learning well-known design tools. And we really wanted to reduce that learning curve. So that was one of the biggest opportunities that we had together with rethinking our core features.
And by having a redesigned full user experience, what was the impact that we aim for the users, not the end user, but also every user?
Yeah, I think it's definitely reducing that training time, being able to go fast into the market, being able to jump into Graphics Studio, start building those templates, and get the final output as fast as possible and as easy as possible.
What I've noticed is that for me, it's twofold. It's the time to make the templates, so the creation process, and then also, of course, the time that the template can be used to have that as fast as possible as well.
Yeah, indeed. So it's not only the building the template that should be efficient, but also if you want to make changes, those templates exist. You should be able to jump in very quickly and make those adaptations to the template as a template designer, but also from an end user perspective.
Yeah.
An end user should be able to easily adapt the template from an end user perspective with all the constraints applied to it, and just generate the output as easy and as fast as possible.
I think another challenge was we added a layer, the multi-channel layer, because before we were mainly focusing at print. Now we added the layer of multi-channel. How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So that was one of the biggest challenges, I would say, we had over the past years. One single tool to design a template which can be used for print and digital static and digital animated is not an easy thing to do. So what we actually aimed for was, okay, how can we design a tool which allows you to design multi-channel templates, was to adapt the interface depending on the intent you're designing for. So for example, if you're building a template for print, you will only see the print features in the interface. You will not have the options to, you will not have an animation timeline, for example, or you will not have the animation features available in comparison when you are designing a layout with a digital intent. So the ultimate goal is not to overwhelm the user and only show the features he needs in that moment for that specific use case.
Because to reiterate, we're talking about the same file, the same template. It's all in one template.
Yeah, so it's one template. You build the template in one size, but then you have the option to generate multiple sizes of that one layout. And those sizes, they can have different intents. So you can have print and digital static and digital animated in a single template. So that's what makes it very powerful.
And that means to reiterate on the fast output, that means that an asset, for example, if you change it, it changes on all sizes and output intents.
Yeah, indeed. So the layouts are following an inheritance model. You have the parent layout, I would say, and then you can create multiple sub-layouts, and all the properties that are defined there will inherit and follow that inheritance model.
Today it's impossible to not talk about AI. It is all over the world. How is that a challenge or an opportunity for the UX in general?
Yeah, so AI has been a major opportunity for us. Over the past years, something we really learned from our research is that many of our users don't have that technical background. They are focused on the visual part. They have a graphic background, most of them. So AI gave us the opportunity to close that gap between the technical knowledge and the knowledge of our users. And how is that done? Is Graphics Genie, our AI assistant, actually allows you to write a simple prompt as a designer without technical knowledge. And by writing that prompt, the JavaScript is generated for you.
And where would you need JavaScript? Why is that important?
Yeah, so we're not just designing templates, we're all about creative automation. So business logic is an important aspect inside our product. So to set up those business logic and define all those rules, you need to insert your JavaScript actions into the template.
And that's where AI, for example, helps out into getting to that point faster.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. You also talked, in the intro, you talked about familiarity of patterns. Where do we see that?
So I already talked about the familiarity of our editor Graphic Studio. That's one thing, but also in the platform we aim to really put focus on consistency. We have different applications like graphics media, graphics fonts. Later on we will have graphics style kits, but they all look and feel the same. So if you know how to work with one application, you will also be able to quickly jump into another application. And by reusing those patterns, we see that users spend more time focusing on actually getting the job done and less time figuring out how everything works.
Another example I would say is the shortcuts. We didn't reinvent the copy-paste function.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows what to do. So
yeah, indeed. So all the well-known shortcuts inside the big design tools out there, we try to use them as well, and not use something totally different, so that if you already know them, you will be able to use them quickly.
You also talked about less technical people, so making the experience tailored for other types of users. How do you approach that?
It's indeed a big part of our approach. We also learned that we have a very wide range of different user types. We have more technical people who do the management side of things, but we also have the template designers who have already experience with design tools in general. Some of them might have more technical knowledge, but then we also have the end users, the people who actually consume the templates which are built by our template designers. And we aimed for a totally different experience for example, the template designers. They expect more advanced features. They expect to see labels which they resonate with from other tools, for example. But then you have the end user experience, people who don't have technical knowledge, who don't have design knowledge. You just want them to be able to easily jump into the product. and get that template. And how did we do that? By using, by adapting the copy, by simplifying the components that we use in the end user experience. But we also use like mobile friendly scaling inside the whole platform and also on the end user experience.
I can even remember the request we had, should we use download or exports? I think that's a perfect example of one simple label on a button, but that makes a difference to make it recognizable for an end user.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. It's all about making it as easy as possible to understand. And if the end users understand, then the designers and the more technical profiles will also understand.
Indeed. So it's about finding the balance between flexibility for advanced users and also simplicity for end users.
That's an ongoing challenge indeed. Something, finding that balance between flexibility and simplicity.
Another part, because we talk a lot about the visual part, the visual user interface, but since we are API first, made to be integrated, I think integrations, connectors, that's also an important part of the user experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's all about making things as easy as possible for the user, regardless of his background.
Yeah. You mentioned that it's more than what the eye sees. I think it's a team effort. So how do you look at that?
I think indeed, it's like you mentioned, it's not the user experience is not only what the user sees, but it's also everything around it. It's not a one man's responsibility. It starts with good product documentation. It starts with training material. It starts with a well-documented SDK. It starts with client support, which we recently measured a customer satisfaction score of 97%. But also the performance of the canvas, for example, that everything is smooth. So it's an effort of everyone in the organization who is contributing to the user experience with the ultimate goal to deliver the best experience for our users.
What's next on your list of things you'd like to work on in UX land?
Well, I keep repeating it, but it's the main focus will always be keep finding that balance between flexibility and simplicity. We are an advanced solution, and that sometimes comes with complexity, but we should always aim for that simplicity. How can we make it as simple as possible without compromising on the full potential of the platform? And definitely AI will keep playing a major role in our strategy and in the user experience in general.
And I'm convinced UX is in good hands. So thank you, Darvin, for being here on the podcast. I think the future looks bright.
Yeah.
And for you users, listeners, viewers, if you haven't experienced CHILI GraFx yet, we can provide you access to a CHILI GraFx discovery environment. So not only does this allow you to play with a great UI, but it also provides you access to the API. Thanks for tuning in, and see you the next time. Thank you again.